Hello everyone, REM here, and welcome back to another episode of Dinosaur Days. Today, we're talking about a very famous fellow, the Pachycephalosaurus. Pachycephalosaurus means thick-headed lizard, and if you know anything about this dinosaur, that pretty much sums it up. It's believed that these animals would have bonked heads together, much like a bighorn sheep or other animals do today. And again, similar to bighorn sheep of today, it's believed that this largely was not used for a defensive mechanism, but rather intra-species conflict, aka males fighting for access to females. Now, I'm sure it's possible to utilize a really thick skull that you can ram into things as a defense mechanism, but you'd have to get a lot of setup. You'd have to be able to back up, get a running start where the enemy doesn't move, and crash into them. And that's not very conducive towards a life or death situation. So this animal probably would have run from danger, but bonked heads with other members of its species. Pachycephalosaurus is not the only pachycephalosaurid dinosaur, so it's not the only thick-skulled, head-butting dinosaur, but it is the largest and was one of the last dinosaurs before the meteor extinction occurred. Some other types of pachycephalosaurid dinosaurs, like Dracorex and Stygmolic, were actually believed to be separate species, but are now believed to be different stages of Pachycephalosaurus, where the animals looked slightly different because their head dome and head crests were not developed as they were not fully mature. I plan to cover Dracorex and Stygmolic in a Draw and Discuss episode about Nomen Dubium, so you'll hear more about them at some point in the future. I mentioned that Pachycephalosaurus was one of the last non-avian dinosaurs to exist before the mass extinction, and it did actually coexist with some of the other very famous dinosaurs to have been wiped out by the meteor. Most of the Pachycephalosaurus remains that have been found have come from the western United States, including the famous Hell Creek Formation, which included the remains of animals like Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops. Now, a full-grown T-Rex would not have wasted its energy trying to eat something as small, in comparison, as a Pachycephalosaurus, but juvenile tyrannosaurs, as well as Dakotaraptors, Archaeoraptors, and other smaller carnivores, definitely would have been on the lookout for this animal, which sounds like a very stressful day today. Pachycephalosaurus quite honestly lived in the time and place that seems to be the epitome of dinosaur, at least if you live in the United States and grew up with Western media. So, while not nearly the most flashy, famous, or large dinosaur of the area, at only around 15 feet long and under 1,000 pounds, Pachycephalosaurus might not have been the star of the show when it was alive, but that doesn't mean it should be overlooked. I mean, I've been rammed by a billy goat before, and it was a smaller breed of goat. It wasn't a pygmy goat, but it was not a large breed, and it bowled me right over. So I have to imagine an animal of this size could vaporize me instantly if it decided to headbutt me. Honestly, if I got teleported to the Hell Creek Formation right before the meteor impact, I could see that being the way I go out. Not anything cool or flashy like being eaten by a Tyrannosaurus rex or gored by a Triceratops, but just bonked to death by a Pachycephalosaurus. But, thankfully, none of us live in the ancient Hell Creek Formation, and we don't have to worry about T-Rex, Triceratops, or even Pachycephalosaurus deciding to cause problems for us. And as sad as that is sometimes, it is for the best. And that should remind you to smile.